Okay. So Parshat Naso, you guys have Chumashim? Good. Okay. Dov, thank you for the setup. Okay, and good. All right. I am here the next 2 Tuesdays. Then I will be away for 2 Tuesdays. I'll be away, I guess, I'm leaving the 5th, the 12th, and the 19th. If those are Tuesdays, that makes sense. Of July, I'll be away, and I'll be back on the 26th. Okay? Parshat Bahalotcha, sorry. Parshat Bahalotcha, page 774. Okay. We ended last week with each of the Nesiim, each of the leaders of the tribes, bringing a very special donation to the Mishkan, to the tabernacle. Okay? And there's a little bit of history there. What prompted the Nesiim to bring these gifts? So what prompted them was earlier, when we were making the collection for the temple, for the Mishkan, for the tabernacle, the Nesiim, who were wealthy and powerful, they made an offer which at first glance seems to be a great offer, and there are positive aspects of it, but there are also negative aspects of it. They said to Moshe, listen, Moshe, collect whatever you need to collect, and whatever you don't have, come back to us, and we'll do it. Now, I've done some fundraising in my life. Not something that I enjoy doing. Now, you go to someone and they say, Rabbi, what's your goal? What do you need to reach? And you give them that number. And they say, listen, go around, come to me at the end, anything that you're missing, I'll take care of. That sounds like a great offer. Perhaps I prefer, don't go around, let me write the check, but even with the go around, right? And actually there's what to be said for go around. Because we want to share. Not only do we want to share our material things, we also want to share our mitzvot, right? And therefore, a person really shouldn't try to grab everything that is labriut, that it's just him or her doing it. Let others also participate, right? At a level that they're comfortable, and then I'll fill in. That's great. However, we actually had. If you want to take a quick look. Second. If you take a look on page 518, page 519, verse 27. Okay? That's at Vayakel. That's where we are going over all of the donations that had been made to the Mishkan. Pasuk Chaf Zayin. Yafi. Brucha הבאה בחזרה.
תודה רבה. ברוכים הנמצאים.
תודה.
והנשיאים?
כן, נכון.
והנשיאים הביאו את אבני השוהם ואת אבני המילואים לאפוד ולחושן.
Good. Eve, in English, please, for us. Verse 27.
The leaders brought the shochan stones and stones for the settings, for the ephod and the breastplate.
Okay, good. So we can understand what happened now with this background. What happened was, Moshe, the Nesiim said, come back to us at the end. Whatever has not yet been donated, we'll donate. What hadn't yet been donated? Linda, the Shoham stones, right? And the stones for the settings of the ephod, right? Linda Shoham, is that Hashem Shalom? Okay. Okay? So you had these precious gems that the people didn't have. So who had it? The Nisim. But if you look back at the Hebrew, Nisim is written Chaser Yud. Right? It's missing a letter Yud. When something is missing a letter, when a name is missing a letter, what does that indicate to us?
That there's something more behind it.
Good, there's something more behind it, and even more specifically, Ada, that there's something lacking in them.
Yeah.
Right? The missing letter indicates something that's lacking. If you remember, back before, when Abraham was looking to buy the tomb of the patriarchs from Ephron, and Ephron seemed to be very, very generous, but Ephron was an incredible scam artist. And Ephron said, well, you can't just buy the Machpelah, the cave, it's got to be the field also. And then he gave a price, what's 400? So Ephron is written missing the Vav, right? Because he was lacking in his interaction with Avraham. Not only is he lacking, actually it's fascinating, Ephron, Ayin is 70, Pei is 80, that's 150, Reish is 200, we're up to 350, Nun is 50, we're up to 400. So by dropping the Vav, Ephron became 400. What's 400? That's the amount that he overcharged. That's the inflated price that he gave to Abraham. Right? By dropping the Vav, his gematria, he becomes what? He becomes 400. That defines his essence. So the Nisim over here is missing a Yud. So they were lacking. In what way were they lacking? Granted, is a very, very wonderful offer. Collect from everyone, let everyone be part of the mitzvah. Whatever is left, come to us and we'll fill in. But what is the problem with that? You're entertaining the possibility
That everyone else did everything.
everyone else will do everything and you'll have nothing to give. And you're entertaining that possibility. So it shows a lack of alacrity, a lack of eagerness, a lack of a deep desire to participate in this. Therefore, the Nisim, it's missing a Yud. Therefore, that's the backstory to the end of last week's Parsha. So therefore, when it came time for the consecration of that Mishkan, where they had been somewhat hesitant in their donation, when it came time, good morning, when it came time for that consecration, they said, let us give gifts. And Moshe wasn't sure, but Moshe found out from Hashem and said yes. And each of them brought gifts. And we discussed last week how the Torah goes through in detail what each of them brought, even though they each brought an identical gift. So it could have very simply said the first one brought A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and so did the second one, and the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, and the sixth. But we said the second one brought A, B, C, right, through G. And the third one brought A through G. And the fourth one, and the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th. We spell it out 12 times. Right? And I think, right, different explanations are given, but an explanation we could certainly offer is this speaks that, they're not just, often a person will say, well, why do I need to give? Everyone will give, I'll just get lost in the crowd. And they realized that mistake, and they were not lost in the crowd. And each one's donation was given full billing. Right? It wasn't minimized in any way. So all the tribes brought. Now, we always have 12 tribes, but there are two ways that we reach our tally of 12. Either it is, right, Ruvain, Shimon, Levi, either it's the 12 children of the 4 wives of Yaakov, right, of Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, and Zilpah, but sometimes Yosef is not counted as one. Yosef's 2 children, Menashe and Ephraim, are each counted. So that throws off our tally. Now we're at 13. So how do we stay at 12?
We take off Levi.
We take off Levi. Levi is not counted, meaning when the land of Israel was divided, Levi was not given a portion. Levi was given cities amongst each of the tribes. We wanted Levi, who were the spiritual leaders, we wanted them to be not concentrated in one area, but to be spread out amongst, yes, yours are daughters of a Levi, right? We wanted them to be spread out amongst the entire nation. So if we're counting Menashe and Ephraim, then we don't count Levi. We counted Menashe and Ephraim. So all the tribes brought this special gift, but Levi, the tribe of Levi, did not. And that sets the stage of Vaydaber Hashem El Moshe Lemor. So lead off for us, please, on page 774 in Hebrew. Mili?
Which Heva?
From the very beginning. 774. Back to Bahalotcha. I'm sorry. Back to 774.
דבר אל אהרון ואמרת אליו בעלותך את הנרות אל מול פני המנורה יאירו שבעת הנרות ויעש כן אהרון אל מול פני המנורה העלה נרותיה כאשר ציווה אדוני את משה.
Beautiful. In English, Karen, you take it for us?
Yes. Hashem spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron and say to him, When you kindle the lamps toward the base of the menorah, shall the 7 lamps cast light. Aaron did so. Toward the base of the menorah, he kindled its lamps, as Hashem had commanded Moses.
Beautiful. So all of a sudden, we're talking about now the kindling of the lamps. Rashi famously asks, right? And we have it in the English also, right? The English over here, this first paragraph. The commentators discuss why this passage regarding the menorah is placed immediately after the long recitation of the offerings of the tribal leaders. Citing Midrash Tanchuma, Rashi comments that Aaron was chagrined. Why? That every tribe, represented by its leader, had a role in dedicating the new tabernacle, while he and his tribe of Levi were excluded. Consequently, God comforted him by saying that his service was greater than theirs because he would prepare and kindle the menorah. I apologize, my daughter is in New York. Hi, honey, everything okay? Okay, I'm giving a class. If it can wait, fine. If you, okay. There isn't one. You don't. We use it for we use it for purchases, not to draw cash. Correct. Okay. Speak to you soon. Okay. Dodge the bullet on that one, huh? Okay. Okay. So what do we see over here? Right? Aaron was chagrined. Why was he chagrined? Chagrined. He was feeling saddened.
Okay.
Right? Chaser lo. Why? Because everyone else had brought and he hadn't brought. Now you might say, fantastic, right? So therefore he was comforted, don't worry, you've got your own avoda. You've got your daily avoda, your daily service. You've got the menorah, right? But in essence what we see here is that the lacking that we saw by the Nesiim was a lesson learned by others, by Aaron, and that was the cause of his being saddened, meaning that there was a lack of an eagerness to give on the part of the Nesiim. That's why they were missing their letter back over there. They made up for it, and Aaron himself felt the same way. Aaron felt, I also want to be a part. I also want to give. Right? And we know that the Mishkan was the place where Hashem's presence dwelled. Right? And we discussed back in Teruma it said, "V'kol nidvat libo." Right? Everyone with their offering heart will give their donations. Right? Why is it crucial to have that offering heart when it comes to that generous heart, that offering heart when it comes to the Mishkan? Why is that crucial?
Because to donate to a holy cause, we have to have a positive intention.
Okay, good. Right? To give to a holy cause, you need to have a positive intention. Beautiful, Ada.
If you have that more open heart, you'll be more receptive to the connection of Hashem at that dwelling.
Good. An open heart makes us more receptive to the connection to Hashem at that place. Good. Any other ideas?
You'll give more.
You'll give more. Good. Always in favor of that. Good.
It actually represents the community. It's the center of
Okay.
spiritual life.
It's the spiritual
of
center.
the whole
Good.
community. So
Good.
it's-
Good. I would, Karen?
I guess I could venture to say that it's also showing that what we're offering is not necessarily ours, and we have to be able to give that without having.
Good. That's I was thinking along those lines. That's Karen expounded that in a second. Good. Linda.
When we do any mitzvah, aren't we required to have the intent behind it?
Okay. Yes and no. In other words, a person will fulfill a mitzvah even if they don't have the fullest of intent. But certainly, it not just embellishes, but it gives the soul to the mitzvah, right? But if I could take what Karen said and just add a little bit to it, who are we kidding? What are we giving to God? What are we giving to God? Right? You know, it's like a child uses the parent's credit card to buy the mother a Mother's Day gift. Right? What are we giving to God? Right? Is there anything that we can give to God? Right? Everything that we have is a gift from God. Our life, every moment, is a gift from God. Right? I've said before, a thought that I had, why did Hashem make it that our heart keeps beating as opposed to like a motor? It just keeps whirring, right? Well, because if it was whirring, whirring, if that's the word, right? Like a motor, then what would happen? At a certain point, what would happen? It would stop. With the heart beating, what actually happens? Our heart is always stopping. It stops about 60 times a minute. Right? But then what happens? So when we say, the person's heart stopped. No, the person's heart didn't stop. That's not why the person died. It didn't start again. Right? Our hearts are constantly stopping. And we realize, dead, alive, dead, alive, bum, 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 dead, alive, dead, alive. It's almost like this pounding wake-up call that, I'm still here. 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 Right? Don't take anything. Right? Thank you for every bit. Don't take anything for granted. So our giving a gift to God is a joke. He's given us anything and everything that we have. What are we giving to God? The only thing we could give to God is nidvat libo, is to want to give, to generously give, to happily give. That's all we add to the mix. He doesn't need our gold for the temple, doesn't need our silver, doesn't need the wood and the oil, doesn't even need the avnei shoham, the avnei miluim, doesn't need the stones. He's got it for himself. If he wants it, he's got it. The only role that we play in life, as we see from the Nesiim, and we see from Aaron, as we saw back in Parsha Truma, the only contribution that we can make is to happily give back to Hashem by our tzedakah, by our mitzvot, by our bein adam l'chaveiro, the way we act to one another. That's the only thing that we've got, that that's ours to give. Yes, Dov.
Can we give up also a portion of our free will? Hashem gave us free will. And part of
We utilize, that's correct, Dov. That's an excellent point. We utilize our choices, our ability to choose, to make good choices. Absolutely. Okay.
And yet,
Yes.
since Hashem mandates, apparently, and what we don't know, wants a structure at which we commune or communicate or interact with Hashem. Maybe it's not a want or a need, but this is how it is, and so that fulfillment. I mean, there is some proscription by Hashem.
Okay. Yeah.
So that even if it doesn't, and because it was said to be with the rings of silver, and so maybe it's not a need, and Hashem already could procure.
It's our willingly and eagerly doing His will. Yeah.
But there is this pre-mandate that says, well, that's what it is. So I don't know that we can conclude a need, but
we call it a want. Yeah. Yeah. Leah.
Who gets more when one gives, the giver or the receiver?
Yeah. So actually.
And also, if you think about it, who do we give the most to as parents? We give the most to our kids because we love them the most.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe also our parents.
Yeah.
So we
Right.
we're giving them the
There's
most.
a lot packed in there, right? The Gemara says that more that the giver is gaining more than the receiver, right? And one of the commentators by the pasuk which says don't take revenge, right? Lo tikum, not to take revenge. He explains, right, that this person passed up. They didn't do a chesed for you. They didn't share with you, right? So they passed up eternity, right, to hold on to their rake. Now they want to borrow something from you. So you're going to pass up the eternity of giving, of a mitzvah, right, to hold on to this. Right? And also the point that you made, Leah, that we often think that when we receive from someone, then we love that person. But it's very clear that when we give, that's when we truly love. You look at a parent-child relationship. The parent is essentially the giver. The child is essentially the receiver. Right? Who has a greater love? Parent to child or child to parent? Right? Having been in both positions, I can certainly say, right? Parent to child has a greater love than child to parent. Right? When we give, then we feel that connection, we feel that being a part of it, we identify there, and we have a tremendous love for that. So we look at, I think if we apply it over here, we look at how much Hashem gives us, so that is clearly an indication of the tremendous love that He feels for us. I was talking to someone this past Shabbos at the Kiddush, and the person was saying just how much they've gained from the community. And it's very interesting. She said, there was a point where it really changed, where I really felt I was gaining from the community. When was that? She said, when she started to volunteer Shabbos morning in the kitchen. When she started to give, to contribute towards the community, that's when she felt really that now she's a part of it, and that she said opened up the gates, and she felt, and that's when she really began to gain so much. Interesting. But that's not what I want to talk about today. So let's move up a little bit. We're going to do something interesting. Let's look at the English in 775, and let's just look at the events that take place. Right to the very left, the menorah. Okay, everyone with me? Consecration of the Levites, turning the page. Apprenticeship and responsibility. That's referring to the Levites as they would apprentice in how to serve as the Levites. Right? 779, the Pesach offering in the wilderness. Good. Pesach Sheni, the second Pesach offering. Are you with me on 779? Right? What was that Pesach Sheni, that second Pesach offering? Who was that for?
The poor who couldn't get the first one.
I'm sorry?
The poor who couldn't get the first one.
Not those who couldn't do the first one, not because they were poor. Either they were far away, or they were ritually, did you say poor or impure?
Oh, I said poor.
Okay, or if they were ritually impure. And once again, that was the same idea, that they're exempt. Hey, I'm exempt. I'm out of here. No, they wanted to do the mitzvah. They said to Moshe, why should we lose out? Granted, we are impure, we're far away, whatever it is, we can't do it. Right? But why should we lose out? We want to do the mitzvah. And Hashem came back to Moshe with the idea of Pesach Sheni. If you didn't bring the Korban Pesach, the Paschal sacrifice, on the 14th of Nisan, a month later, on the 14th of the month of Iyar, you can bring it. Okay? 781, divine signs of the Israelites' travels. 783, the trumpets. This is how they would gather everyone for the journeys. The order of breaking camp, right? How would they travel on their way through the Midbar? Right? 785, Moses invites Jethro to join the nation. 787, the first journey. Right? The ark goes forth. The new book of the Torah, we'll explain that in a minute. And then, 789, complainers, dissatisfaction with the manna, Moses' despair, the Sanhedrin, God responds to the people, new prophets, Moshe's not enough anymore, the quail, right? Because they wanted to have some serious meat. Okay, 795, Moses' uniqueness is challenged and affirmed. 797, Miriam is quarantined. We'll just repeat 799, the command to send spies to the land of Israel. Moses prays for Joshua. 801, the spies report. 803, Caleb is shouted down. 14, national hysteria. 805, the people cannot be placated. Israel is threatened with extermination. Moses' successful plea. God forgives and decrees 40 years of wandering. God spells out the decree. A chastened nation realizes too late. Wow. So we had the whole beginning, which was things are going great. The consecration, the camp, the trumpets. And then, wow, do things go south. Now, if you look back on page 786, 787, we have something unique and bizarre. If you look in the Hebrew, you notice something strange. 4 and 2 lines from the bottom in the Hebrew. Whether you read Hebrew or not, you see something strange there. We have the upside down nuns. And actually, in the Torah itself, these 2 verses, which are familiar to us, Vayhi ben Saharon, Vayomer Moshe, we sing this every time, or we sing it on Shabbos, say it every time the ark is opened and the Torahs are taken out. And the next verse, Uvenucha Yomar, that we say when we put the Torah back into the ark. These 2 verses are set off by a backwards nun before and a backwards nun after. Why is it there? To show us that this is not its proper place. There are different explanations. One say it's not its proper place. There should have been actually 50 parshiot meaning paragraphs back, where we were discussing the actual travels. Others say that this is set off because, contrary to popular opinion, well, popular opinion says, how many books of the Torah are there? 5. There are 7.
This is a separate
This is a separate sefer. So you've got Bereshit, Shmot, Vayikra, Bamidbar up until this point. Then you've got these two verses, 5. You've got Bamidbar after this point till the end, 6. And you've got Devarim, 7. Now, how many words are there in the first pasuk? 12. And in the second pasuk? 7. Look at the first pasuk of the Torah. How many words are there in the very first pasuk of the Torah? And some of you look at the last pasuk of the Torah. Okay? Some go to the beginning, some go to the end. The first pasuk of the Torah has 7. Last pasuk of the Torah? That's a good guess. What made you think it might be 12? Page 1124.
So if the punctuation is not a period, if it's a colon,
Yep, it's 12.
denotes it takes the pasuk?
End of a pasuk. Yeah.
12.
Okay, so these two psukim that we say are considered an entire sefer actually have the amount of words of the first and last pasuk of the Torah, right?
They are the whole Torah.
Of the entire Torah, except that it's out of order. Meaning the first pasuk has 12, which is equal to the last pasuk of the Torah, and the first pasuk and the second pasuk has 7, which is equal to the first pasuk of the Torah. Let's see how we can work this through a little bit. There's an interesting teaching, a somewhat Kabbalistic teaching. The pasuk says, "Ki b'ka Hashem bara olamim," that with the letter Hey, God created the world.
Where does it say that?
Huh?
Where does that
I'll have to
come
find that. Okay, it's based on a pasuk. Bihi baram, ve'elo toldo shemayim va'aretz. Bihi baram. Okay. In Bereshit, it says.
Is it a pasuk in the actual Torah?
Yes. Take a look on page 10. Okay. Eila toldot shamayim va'aretz bihi baram. It's written right. These are the products of the heaven and earth when they were created. Biyom, on the day that God made heaven and earth. Look at the word bihi baram. What is it? It's written with what? Right, with a hey. It's as if it says be hey baram. With the hey, with the letter hey, it was created. Rashi here says, right, davar acher bihi baram behei baram. With the hey, they were created. Shenemar ki b'ka Hashem tzur bebet otir halalu. Okay. The whole world was created with the letter hey. What does that mean? So there's in Rashi the Svarim Acherim remez shahei petucha lamata kach haolam patuach l'shavim b'teshuva. Look at the letter hey. Okay, the letter hey, like the resh and then the leg, right? It's open on the bottom, right? Right? It's a dalid. Okay, dalid is 4. What does 4 normally represent? The 4 directions, right? The expanse of the physical world. Now it's open on the bottom. And then it's also open, you have the leg, it's open on the top. Right? That speaks of our free will. It's open on the bottom. You want to exit? You want to check out? That's your prerogative. Right? There are no lightning bolts in this world. It's open on the bottom. But no matter what, you came out from the bottom, there's a way to
Come back in.
get back in and be at the top. Okay? That's the letter Hey. Okay? Open on the bottom, you have your free will, come back at the top. Let's come back over here to Bahalotcha. Why would this book be split up into 3? Well, we saw there's a tremendous difference between the first half and the third half. The first, can't be 3 halves. The first part, and I was actually good in math. The first part and the third part.
That doesn't make sense.
Right? The first part was all about things running as they should be running. The third part is where things go south, tremendously awry. Okay? With the complaint. Now, another reason why, so far we said 2 reasons why this is set off. The Gemara gives 3 reasons. One reason, this is not its place. It really should have been back over there. Okay. Secondly, because it's its own book. Thirdly, we wanted to separate between the first punishment and the next punishment. Now, the punishment afterwards we understand. Chapter 11, right? Actually, we do go a little bit bankrupt over here.
Yeah.
What's chapter 11? The complainers, dissatisfaction with the manna. I see how afterwards we've got problems. But what's before it? Vayisume har Hashem, they journeyed from the mountain of Hashem a 3-day distance. The ark of Hashem traveled in front of them a distance of 3 days in order to search for a resting place. The clouds were over them by day as they traveled, right, minamachna from the camp. Everything seems just hunky-dory. Everything seems to be just fine. The problem is actually embedded in the word vayisu, and they journeyed. What's wrong with that? So take a look back to Parshat Bishalach, or is it Parshat Yitro? 1 second.
Is that when they're being chased?
Oh, no, not Bishalach. I'm sorry. Let me see exactly where it is. Just 1 second. Where is that? Oh, yes. It would be Bishalach. It would be Bishalach. Take a look on page 380. We just crossed the sea. And there was the Bizat Hayam.
Sorry, what page?
380. There were the spoils from the sea, which were greater than the gold and silver we took out of Egypt with us. The spoils of the sea that their chariots and horses were adorned with, which as they sunk, this floated to the top and was brushed onto and washed onto the shore. There was this tremendous Bizat Hayam. Pasuk Chaf Bet 22. Vayasa Moshe et Yisroel miyam suf. Very strange. Moshe journeyed the children of Israel from Yam Suf. The English, right? It was a little awkward. Moshe caused Israel to journey from the Sea of Reeds. When it came to the Sea of Reeds and all the gold and silver, when it was time to go, what happened? We weren't so willing to go. What does it say? Vayasa Moshe et Yisrael. Moshe journeyed, caused Israel to journey. What does it say over here back on 786? After Mount Sinai, after the Torah being given, Vayisu, they traveled, Me'ar Hashem. They traveled from the mountain of God. Right? There was no need for Moshe to encourage them. They were straining at the bit. right? We were looking to get out of there, right? 6:13, we stick around. Maybe you'll go to 6:40, 6:50, 700. Who knows how many mitzvot, how many commandments we're going to get. We were eager to leave. That was the first puranut, the first vestige of the problem. That was the root of the problem. A sense, as we discussed by the Nesiim and by Aaron, this drive, this want to do, this sense of anything that I can do, that God asked me to do, of course I want to do it. You know, the Mishnah says, don't be like a servant that serves his master in order to receive reward, right? Don't do it in order to receive reward, right? Just be like a servant that serves the master, right? And the example I like to give, right? So when we're doing mitzvot, it shouldn't be like, oh, I'm doing it for a reward. I like to give an example. Imagine you have a guest over, right? And the guest has stayed for a while. And you are serving this guest. You know, they say guests are like fish. The longer it stays, right? Right? But it shouldn't be like that, right? So, and you are taking care of this guest. 3 meals a day. You are there putting out the food, serving, cleaning up. You are catering to this person. After about a week, right, you're not going to be there one evening when he finishes eating. So you have the whole meal prepared, cooked, everything beautiful. The table is set. You serve the whole meal. You serve the first course, second course, soup, right, main course. You bring out, and clearing off after each course, you bring out the dessert. And you say to the person, listen, I'm sorry, I've got to run. Just do me a favor. When you finish, right, don't wash the plate and fork. Just put it into the sink and add a little bit of water, right? And the person says, well, what will you pay me for that? Right? You say, are you kidding? Right? What will I pay you for that? I've given you meals every day. I've served, I've catered. I'm asking you to do a little something. What will I pay you for that? That's the Mishnah. Don't serve the master, don't serve God in order to receive reward. Right? We're getting so much. Don't do it in order to get back. Right? Understand that it's the least that you can do. So our attitude here of Vayis'u Mehar Hashem, that we're eager to leave because maybe he's going to ask us to do something else, that is what set the stage for everything that follows after. Complainers, dissatisfaction, Moses, right, despair, new prophets, quail, Moses challenge, Miriam quarantine, the spies report, national hysteria. All of that emanates from Vayis'u Mehar Hashem, right? When I want to check out. I don't want to be asked to do anything else, right? The antithesis of the attitude of Aaron that we began with and what the Nesiim came around to, which is, right, I want to do. You know, it's very important. I had a student, this in the late 90s, who was very, very successful with the whole internet boom then, in the late 90s. Very, very successful. And he was very, very generous. Right? And whenever someone that he was generous to would want to do something back, right, he'd say, no, please, don't bother. It's fine. Because he really didn't need it. And he was really very generous. He didn't want anything back. And I sat him down and I said to him, you're doing a disservice. You're doing a disservice. Allow people to show their appreciation. Allow them to give you something. You don't need it? I know you don't need it. You know you don't need it. Allow them to give something. Give them that dignity. Give them that self-respect that they received and they also reciprocated. Right? It's a chesed. Sometimes it's a chesed to take. to give that person that sense of self-respect. You gave me, and I showed my, right? It's even simply saying thank you, right? There's a debt. We call it in English a debt of gratitude, right? It truly is a debt, right? Allow the person to pay off the debt. The mitzvot are really our opportunity for dignity, for self-respect, for paying back the debt that God is constantly giving us. Once Vayisu Mihar Hashem, then that led to, this isn't enough, we need meat, right? This man is driving us crazy. I'm getting bored of the man, I'm getting sick of the man, right? Remember the old Monty Python, spam, 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 spam. Okay, I don't know if that's not, right? The same thing over and over and over and over, right? Right? We start to kvetch. We start to complain. That is the root of all of this. So we have, let's break it down. Now, how many books do we have? 7. The letter Hey has a numerical value of what?
5.
Of 5. And there's the way out, and there's the way back in. So what are the 5 books? Bereshit, Shmot, Vayikra, the first half of Bamidbar, where everything's going well, and Devarim. Those are the 5. Where is our way out? Where are we checking out? That's the back. That's the latter part of Bamidbar. So what are these 2 verses going to be all about?
Which we choose.
The way in.
Checking back in. That is the 5 that the world was created with, and those are our 5 plus 2 books of the Torah. So we have the 5 where things are running properly. We have the latter part of the book where we're checking out, and these 2 is all about checking in. How are these all about checking in? Let's see these 2 verses. Vayihi bin Soa ha'aron, and it was when the ark would journey. Vayomer Moshe, Moshe said, Kuma Hashem, arise Hashem, v'yafutzu oivecha, may your foes be scattered, v'yanusu misanecha mipanecha, and let those who hate you flee from before you. Uvenucho yomar, and when it rested he would say, Shuva Hashem, Rivavot Alfei Yisroel. Reside tranquilly, Hashem, among the myriad thousands of Israel. This is an entire book of the Torah. It's the smallest one. But we're also taught that this will be the largest of the books. Not only that, when we speak about studying Torah in the heavens, when we speak about the afterlife, we're studying Torah. What are we studying? The Ramchal in Das Tfuna says amazingly, what are we studying? We're studying, well, he doesn't say this, but that's what we're referring to. We're studying these 2 psukim. What are these 2 verses about? Bin Soa ha'aron. What is the Aron, the ark? What does that represent?
The Torah.
The Torah, and actually the word Aron, right? Aleph, Resh, Vav, Nun, when it's written fully, is the same letters as Norah. What is Norah? Awe. Right? The problem is Bin Soa ha'aron. Right? When that awe, when that Aron is not established, not in its place, when it's going from place to place to place to place. And we say, Hashem, we've got oivim, we've got enemies, we've got sonim, we have those who hate us, we have those who are fighting against that which we represent. Right? I mean, a whole other conversation. Right? Anti-Semitism makes no sense. It just keeps morphing. The Jews are rich, the Jews are poor. The Jews are cowards, the Jews are warmongers. right? The Jew, right? You name it. We're it, right? I mean, it's a battle against what we represent. Vayhi ben so Aaron is the traveling, is all of the events that we go through in life, all of the challenges, all of the times when Hashem is hidden, when we don't feel it, when we don't see it, when the things before our eyes seem to be working against us, Uvnucha Yomar, and when it rested, Shuva Hashem, reside tranquilly among the myriad thousands of Israel, right? To return to be with us. The Torah that we'll learn in the world to come is reflecting back. This is what the Maral, what the Ramchal says. Reflecting back on all the events of our long, torturous history. The Jewish people's long, torturous history. The world's long, torturous history. And recognizing that the Aron was traveling with us. That Hashem was with us at every moment. Every single event that took place nationally and personally was all part of, all geared towards this Uvnucha Yomar, Shuv Hashem, was all part of Hashem's chesed. In the Navi class last night, I'll fill you in, Yafi, we finished the Navi Zechariah, and we had there the pasuk, the verse that we say at the end of Aleinu every day. V'ne'emar, we say, V'ayah Hashem lemelech al kol haaretz, v'yom ahu yiyeh Hashem echad, u'shmo echad. Hashem will be the melech, the king over the whole world, and then Hashem will be one, and Hashem will be one, His name will be one. That time that we'll recognize that everything that happened. So this is the way to climb back in. To recognize that Hashem is with us at every moment, at all times. And every event that takes place, there is no such thing as a random event. There is no such thing as a coincidence. Dov likes to say, ka-incidence. Ka is one of Hashem's names. Yud-Hey, we say ka. Right? There is no such thing as a coincidence. There is something known as hashgacha pratit, as divine orchestration. And every situation, it's Vayhi bin Soa Ha'aron. And that is the way to climb back in. Now we had the question, we pointed out that the Balaturim says that these two verses have the same amount of words as the first pasuk of the Torah and the last pasuk of the Torah, but
They're reversed.
they are reversed. Why are they reversed?
Because
There's no order, no beginning, no end. I don't know.
Because this is the way back in, my friends. This is the way to right? You need a re-entry, right? When NASA sends up this stuff, they need to work out the re-entry, right? This is the top of the hay. This is the re-entry. So this is when you think you're at the end. This is what will enable you to
Go back to the beginning.
come back to the beginning. That is what these two verses that are an entire Sefer and almost the entire Torah are.
It
Yes.
also appears that given all those salient points that you've said and the placement of these two verses, that it's also let your foes be scattered and let those who hate you flee from me within Bnei Yisrael, all the people who were sort of fleeing from
It's
mitzvah.
all types. Yeah. Nice.
I'm sorry, but I don't get it. How is it back in? I don't get it.
The way when a person slips out, right? The way back in is with this understanding that wherever we are, right? no matter what we've gotten ourselves into, wherever we are, whatever we're doing, Vayihi v'nsoa ha'aron, right? That awesomeness, that norah, that awe that Hashem is with us, no matter what, right?
So that's our way back in.
It's that understanding that's the way back in.
I think this psukim is a summary of the whole books because it's like I'm reading a book about Sefer Dvarim now, so it's always the being good and follow the chukim and do everything right, but we don't. So this is the bin soa that we are, moving back and
In
forth.
transit, yeah.
And then the oivim, God sends the oivim to keep us back in,
and ultimately, uvnucha yomar.
And He saves us, and then it comes again and again. It's like
right. And
vicious
ultimately,
cycle.
uvnucha yomar. Also, in this last in Perek Yudal, the last chapter 14 of Zechariah, it spoke about how we will settle in Yerushalayim, and v'lo yacharon, there will not be any further difficulties. We will settle without any more of the bin soa. Yeah. And that's uvnucha yomar.
Uvnucha yomar is
Yeah.
like
Peace at last.
When we keep the laws, it's like it says in the book that I read that Sefer Dvarim is a kind of a repetition, like a Mishneh Torah of all the books, but it doesn't have all the laws that are in Vaikra and in Shmot and in all
Right.
it. And one of the Parshaniyot is that if we keep the laws, those laws that are in Sefer Dvarim will keep us on the land of Israel, and we will not be megorashim.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the pulchan chukim are not in Sefer Dvarim, the sacrifices law are not in Sefer Dvarim, because they're not essential to keep us on the land and not being expelled.
Interesting.
So it's part of the brit with God is giving on the east side of the Jordan, and then the actual doing the brit and keeping the laws, it's on the west side of the Jordan, which is in the land of Israel,
Right.
to keep the laws that will keep us on the land and we will not be expelled. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
Uvnucha yomar.
Yeah.
is-
Laman yibui mechem v'mivnechem al adamah shenishbar shen levatechem. We say that in the Shema, right? In order that you will have the longevity there on the land. Okay, my friends, we'll call it over here. Yesher koach, everybody.
Wow. Brilliant.
Thank you for joining us. So nice to have you.
Will you do a class on just the complaint
Huh?
as well? Will you?
Yeah, we'll double back. We'll